Hey guys, what I'm going to do now, I've got a mate Jared, and he's done this to his Ram 2500. What we're going to do is we're going to fix the diff breathers up, because the diff breather on the front of this, which I'll show you in a sec, is only about yay tall. So realistically, it's achieving nothing if we want to go through water. So what we're going to do is we've gone into Hose Works. We've bought a few little items. I've got I don't know, about 9 metres of this particular hose. Some other parts that we got is this little gadget here. And that's the breather up on top. And the hoses will go onto the side. A couple of little zip ties to tie it down. And 4 hose clamps for each end of the hose. Obviously we have one for the rear diff and one for the front diff. What we'll do now is we'll climb underneath and I'll just show you what's going on. Okay, so what you can see here is the actual diff breather at the moment. It's about probably 10-12 centimetres long, so it's basically non-effective. The rear one is a little bit longer, but what we're going to do is we're going to run it from the rear all the way up into the engine bay, the same as this front one. I'll just put a torch up here so you can actually see what I'm looking at. So there it is there. So there's the rear one, and as you can see it goes up the top up there. So it's a little bit longer, but we're just going to make them go all the way to the front. We've got Jared here. Jared's the brains behind this outfit, so he's, as I said, he's done it with his Ram 2500. So what is it we're going to do, and why are we actually doing it, Jared?
Well, because the diffs, the breathers on the diffs are obviously quite low. You ran through it, the front one's only this, the other one's that, and then obviously with our type of travels we all do, our water crossings, you'll see at times, water crossings around here, you draw a straight line from there, your diffs in line with that there, so your breather, your front breather's probably only about here, so to say, with the water flow going. So it's a bit of common sense, let's get that breather nice and high. And many different ways, you can go like ARB kits and all that type of stuff. The ARB kits though are really small, I don't know the exact grade, but they're a really small airline. So what a lot of guys do is step down the fitting to adapt to the ARB airlines, which have a nice block and whatnot. The problem is you're reducing that airline size, so it's not broke, don't fix it. So I suggest just running the same size airline, so that's what we're going to do, run the same airline through. Now,
what is it, for people that don't understand, what is it that a diff breather actually does for the vehicle?
Well, essentially just, temperatures and whatnot, allows you to breathe, exactly in the words, I guess, to allow your diff to breathe.
All right, and I guess that is if you're driving along and your diff is fairly hot,
correct,
from the friction and all that sort of stuff, then you come into a river crossing and it hits the water and goes cold.
Yep.
What does that then do?
So you have your pressure relief valves, depending on what type of car you've got, but a lot of these diff breathers have a pressure relief valve, and some of them are different styles, but some of them can go from different temperatures, and the different temperature or influx of temperature change from going from a hot diff to a cold diff, obviously going straight into a water crossing and cooling, can actually physically open up that valve. And common sense says you don't want that valve to open underwater, because then you'll get water egress into your diff, and your diff will go from a lovely oil in there to an ice break. And once you've got an ice break in your diff, you want to get that on the truck and get it straight back to the mechanics and get that diff oil changed pretty quick. So what we're just trying to, so the diff breathers obviously will keep that, the other side of it as well, to answer your question, that the diff breathers keep that temperature of your diffs nice and cool as well. The actual oil itself, because as higher temperatures go, fluids get higher, the way the diff oil actually works and the molecule makeup of it. I don't sound way technical and I actually know about it, but the molecule makeup of it, if you start burning your oils, they just don't function right. So we just wanted to breathe and at its best function, but we just want to foolproof it for the weather and the water crossings.
Okay, now
it sounds way more complex than it needs to be.
The parts that we bought come to a total of about $159,
yep.
And that's all we needed. Yep. I'm not sure what it would cost if you took it into a mechanic and got them to do it all, which they'd probably do very similar to what we're doing, or they'd go and buy a kit from ARB, as Jared said, but we're going to use this hose that we've got here, the clamps, and as you can see, it's an 8mm 5/16.
Fuel line, essentially.
And it's a fuel line, but yeah, you can see the hole in there, so it'll allow the air to go through. and we'll connect it all to these little bits and pieces that we've bought.
Yep. So what we'll do is we'll essentially mount this block up here. So what the whole point is, as Dave's gone through, you've got your diff breathers underneath. The front one's probably the worst one. It's not very high off the diff. But yeah, essentially what we're trying to do is we just want to have these diffs breathing, and we're going to have no actual, essentially, a pressure valve. We could technically cut the line where the pressure relief valve is, put a joiner in it. I don't like cutting and joining hoses. I just find that as a weak point. So essentially what we're going to do, because we're so high up here, we're just going to have a direct atmospheric breather. Anyway, so what we're doing, again, you can go to ARB, get a really nice breather kit. They look really schmick. They've got sort of rolls off and they've got like a foam filter on them. But I've tried and tested these before. These seem to work really well. They're interchangeable, just a little brass filter. You can get an air blower through it, blow it out, bit of water pressure, whatnot, and then all it is just find gaps through there. So that's just going to be our breather.
And you know me, Dodgy Dave, I'd do anything to save $1. And if this is known to work, well, hey, we'll keep you in the loop.
Today we'll probably just zip tie it. What could be done nicely is we could drill in here and put a little bracket and whatnot, but it's a support bar, so we'll just zip tie that up. Essentially, breathers will go up top. But yeah, we'll put 1 breather, 2 breather, 3 breathers, use all available ports, and these 2 sides will be front and rear diff. For me, being a foolproof, looking at how low those diff breathers are on the diff and the amount of water crossings do, I just didn't want to risk that. So we'll just run some airlines up, make sure that the airline connects to this, and down we go.
Right, so what's the first thing we're going to do?
Cool. Well, first thing we'll do is, like I said, we'll get this block here, thread tape these up, throw those 3 valves in there. Won't zip tie that now, because what we'll give ourselves is, I don't know, 300mm, 400mm of slack here, just in case when we get to the other end we need to rework it. Last thing you want to do is have it perfect distance here, and then you have to rework it as you pull it through, and next thing we end up with our breather kit down here somewhere near the... and again, we're going on the non-hot side, we're not going on the turbo side of the engine. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I just figured keep it away from any sort of excess heat. So yeah, we'll mount it up here and just follow some of these lines down here, saddle on the back of that and work our way to the back. We'll go from this end that way first, so that way at the rear of the car then we can clip off any excess. So sort of halfway, so what we've done is thread taped it beforehand. Reason you thread tape with these valves, because pneumatic valves or air valves, thread tape just obviously creates any sort of air leakage and block. We don't want any dust egress. Very, very rare, but let's 2-second job to put a bit of thread tape on there and block any dust egress in there. Anyway, so that should be like your sort of finished product there. Nice and tight. Finished product. So essentially that's going to be our breather kit like so. We'll mount it on something like that. Front diff, rear diff. So yeah, then we'll thread tape these guys up and then we'll throw the airlines on. But what we'll do, we'll just leave this aside at the moment, because we'll put our airlines into these, give it a bit of slack up here and then work our way through, and then once we're ready we'll pull them on. But actually while I've got the thread tape out, I think we'll just get the thread tape on this at the same time. Anyway, so we're not going to put them up, but that's going to be our finished product. We're going to zip that up like so, and airlines come through. So let's leave this guy like so. And we'll get the hardest one out of the way first. We'll do the rear diff, eh?
Yep, feed those through.
Yeah. So tip for young players, if you can't get these through and you don't have a heat gun, I don't know if it's recommended or not, but it's worked for me.
Cigarette lighter?
Nah, you can actually put it in your exhaust. The temperature of those gases going through actually softens it all up.
Or hot water.
Or hot water, yeah.
Boiling water.
Oh, but then we have to get an air blower on it because you don't want to get that water through your diff, potentially. I don't know. Or just grow some muscles, eh? Give that a little nip up. Screw that worm drive up. Probably just use a flathead.
Screwdriver. There you go.
So we just want to get over that lug there. So when it presses down, because I see a lot of people press these worm drives down on it. You want to do it there so it sort of goes fat on both sides.
My thoughts, just my thoughts, wouldn't it have been easy to put that in the actual thing before we go threading the hose, because you're going to have to do it up.
Yeah.
You don't want that tied down.
So for the first one we will, you're 100% right, be easier doing it that way. Spin it on here. When it comes to the second one, absolutely. It will just give us this little bit extra just to be able to feed through for the first one. People will stress, because obviously you've been off-road a fair bit, there'll be dirt and stuff as we're going through. We're going to collect some dust and have a bit of egress of dust and mud as we go through. Obviously we're going to have a lot of excess, so we'll be chopping that off, so it'll be a nice clean end. So you want to hold that, and then I'll get under there and get them. So this is Dave's domain, so I'll try to explain it for him because I'm under here. Coming through here, I'm going to pull that guy down, and we're going to jump onto these harnesses here, like so. Because we want to stay away from any sort of potential steering racks, because obviously a cross shaft conversion. So we'll jump onto all this. So run the airline to the rear, and what a lot of people do, obviously path all these resistance and put it on. That's where the existing diff breather is, just goes up into there. Dave will show that later on. But what you don't want to do is connect that up like so, because you can see it's not all nice and tight as people would see, but airbag rear end, this is going to drop and flex and all sorts, so we want to give some nice slack here. So essentially sort of double, we're going to have it looking something like that, which sort of looks ugly, but what that allows is for any sort of articulation in the rear end and the flexing, you won't rip the airline off. This slack will be taken up when this diff sort of articulates and drops and whatnot. That slack will go from like this and straighten out. So just tip for young players, make sure you don't have it nice and tight, make sure there's some slack.
So guys, what we've done is we've run the rear line back to the rear diff. What we're going to do now is we're going to connect it up onto the actual breather.
So all we're going to do is know this is the line that we've run. That's how we're going to mount it. And with my other hand, I'm just going to slide all the way down to the ground and then bring that up. And that gives us our slack.
Basically, so when the airbags are adjusted and stuff like that, it's not going to be ripped out. It's going to have plenty of extra length there. Put the clamp on and we're going to stick it on the front diff. Once we do that, we'll just screw up the little clamp to tighten it on, then we'll go through and we'll use zip ties to tie the hose into place. Once that's done, we're finished. We'll know if he's done it right when we go through a water crossing. It's either a $150 job or a couple of $1,000 job. So what we've done is now we've run the rear one to the rear and we've just zip tied it here and here, and as you can see there's plenty of slack in the back for when it needs to move. Further back along the line we've zip tied along there as well. So guys, that was a pretty short, simple little job with the help of Jared. Although he does make things a bit long-winded, I just abbreviate it for you. However,
sound way harder than it would be.
It was a really easy job, so realistically it'd probably take you maybe an hour if you got in, hooked in and you weren't mucking around with cameras and doing things. But he's also a bit of a perfectionist. He went through and re-trimmed up my little tails that I left hanging off there, but you know me, Dodgy Dave. Anyway guys, it's a quick little, what do you call it, quick little modification that you might need to do to your vehicle, and saves you a few dollars, saves you from taking it into a mechanic and them charging you an arm and a leg. Alright, we'll see how it goes when I go through some water. Catches. Hey guys, what we're doing now is we're going to actually chuck the tinny up on top of the boat loader on the truck. This time I'm actually going to do it with the trailer on, and we'll see how it goes. Now, first time I've done it, so anything could happen. We'll just wait and see. What I'm going to do is I'm just plugging in these 3 shackles into their points. What that does is it helps pull the boat from an even spot as opposed to being lopsided. So it's on a bit of a harness. And comes up here and goes back to the winch. What I've also done, put the 2 on the back here. Now, we've had to tie a bow hitch in it, purely because I had to shorten the distance. Because without the trailer, the boat actually sits down. Now, I've put two straps on to hold it down. I'm not sure if the straps will get over the stuff on top, so I've got a bit of play and see. It's going to pull from the front before it's going to pull from these. These could probably be shortened a bit more. Rosla's doing the controls. I'm just steadying the boat. As I said, first time we've done this, so we'll just see what happens. Make sure you don't stand under it in case the old rope snaps. Right, because of the weight, I need to hold the back like I did just then so it doesn't slam down. Alright, I'm just going to hop up under here and have a look, just to make sure that we're clear of everything. Okay, Roz, start going forwards. Alright, keep going. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosen straps to get them up over the electric motor. Roz is now going to continue to winch it in. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and I'm going to put the turnbuckles to hold the boat down.
So what's the use of the cardboard?
Just to stop the strap rubbing on the paint. Okay, they're in. I'm going to put the others in before I start tightening them. Because the winch is still attached to the boat, it's a little bit harder to get these turnbuckles in the little eyelet. So I've got to lengthen them. Okay, yeah, like a glove. Now I'll just tighten him up a bit. I'll grab a 10mm spanner. Then I'll tighten up the nuts, one on top and one on the bottom, just to stop it slipping. And I'll show you how that's done. I'll just grab a 10mm. So first of all, I'll twist it. Okay, it's starting to tighten up. So now I'll use my shifter, or my spanner I should say. There we go. That one is done, and as you can see, no movement at all. Okay, there you have it. I've just got to take these little loops off the boat, and the boat is on secure, ready for our trip down to Lake Argyle. I'll actually be going into Darwin for a couple of days to pick up a new engine mount that's going to go on the A-frame of my caravan. So I'm going to take the 20 horsepower out of the car to take a bit of weight off of it now that I've got the trailer on there. I've also changed my gas tanks from the old gas tanks to the new, the actual name I'll show you, which is on the bottles. They're opaque, they're see-through, you can see the gas, and they're a lot lighter. They're only 7.5 kilo bottles, but with both bottles full, I'm saving 10 kilos in trading out my old 9 kilo gas bottles. These ones won't rust like the old gas bottles. These ones have a 15-year warranty on them, or lifespan I should say. And if you have a look around the boat, you'll see that she's on, fairly secure. The straps are only holding the trailer to the boat, and then the turnbuckles and the winch is holding the boat to the car. There you have it. So at the moment, I have one comp gas in here, and I have one of these which we're using the gas at the moment. I'm going to leave that with me mate. And these are the actual comp gas bottles. They're out of Queensland, down the Gold Coast. Good thing about them is they have two handles that you can put them into your cradle with, whereas the old gas ones, they only have the one handle and they normally cut into your fingers if they're full. They also have, you can put your gas hose on the outside, or if you have a smaller fitting, they screw on the inside. So it's universal. They're Australian rated. They don't rust. The only thing is they're a little bit smaller in the cradle than what the normal gas ones are. I'm going to show you what I've actually done with this one.
They're so light, I can pick them up like that.
I've put a little rubber strip around the inside on my gas cylinder holder, which they then fit. This is a full one. They then fit very snug. So there you have it. New gas bottles. They're not cheap. They're $295. They do come in a 12 litre one as well. So you got 24 litres of gas. But they're a great little new mod, and it saved me 10 kilos. So guys, as I was saying, the comp gas bottles that we've put on here, I've actually gone and weighed them, and the bottle full compared to the steel bottle full, the difference is 5 kilos. So between the two bottles, you're looking at 10 kilo of weight saving. Admittedly, these comp gas bottles are only 7.5 compared to a 9 kilo. Alright, but it's not much of a difference. Now, as I said, to put them in, we want to make them snug. So if you have a look at this, Roz, when you put them in, you can see they move a bit in there, yeah? Now before we go putting in our little rubber matting, what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe and clean and actually get rid of all the dirt and the dust and the grime that has come onto the side. Okay, so I've just given that a wipe down and a clean. I'll just let it dry. This thing here is just general purpose strip rubber, alright? Oh, CM18. Right, it's probably 180 mils. Right. Here it is here, and on the back it has a little bit of tape that comes off, sticks on, and a little bit of rubber. I got it from Mitre 10. I dare say Bunnings would sell exactly the same sort of stuff. Alright, just a bit of rubber that we're going to put around it. You'll also need something to cut your hose with, because this is obviously going to be longer than what it is to go around the gas tank. Now, it wasn't that expensive, it was pretty cheap. I can't remember off the top of my head because I bought a couple of other things and I can't remember. Anyway, what we do is we come around here, peel off a bit of the backing tape, and we come round to the start and place it on. Keep going around, peeling off the tape. Righto, now I'll get my little cutters. And go through again, just pushing it on. I do have a little bit left over, so what I'm going to do with this is I'll actually put it on the front parts as well. Then grab our gas bottle, place it in. As you can see, it's in there firm. It's not moving. Right, simple as that. So that's it, guys. It's not for everybody. Right, as I said, they're $295 each, so they're not cheap. However, I need to lose a little bit of weight off of my tow ball. Not that I'm over, but any weight that I can save is a bonus. I like the look of these comp gas bottles because they're opaque. They don't rust and they have a 15-year life, whereas your normal gas bottles are 8 to 10 years. So they last a bit longer. So in the long run, they probably do work out cheaper. Anyway, if you have any questions, just hit me up on the socials, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Lit, L-I-T-T, or YouTube, and we'll get back to you. Catches. It's that time again. It's joke time with Dave. Hey Roz.
Yeah.
I'll be starting my new job as an executioner.
Really?
I'll be heading off soon.